Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the
Systems Doctors,
Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
the Systems Doctors.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
The Systems Doctors
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with the
Systems Doctors
describe them as an excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Systems DoctHers. I am Dr. Sheka Houston.
Good morning, and I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor.
Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheka.
So the REALL framework that you all heard about in the promo that helped us increase our report cards 1 and 2, 2 and 3. I don't know why I keep saying 1 and 2. 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. It can be seen over our shoulders. It helped my school become a STEAM School of Excellence, also a Palmetto Silver School for academic growth. Tammy School is an NWEA case study and Admentum Showcase School. If this is your first time tuning in and you're not familiar with us, we have served in classrooms, in leadership roles at the school and district levels, and we are also serving on multiple boards in our community. A great deal of our success in schools came about due to empowerment.
Definitely. And if you're wondering how we empower, it's through our TrustMate Institute that will allow you to collaborate with us and other leaders with like goals while gaining our school transformation systems and making them your own. Using our three systems to transformation: systems of respect, systems of excellence, and systems of accountability helps leaders on their path to transforming their schools.
Most definitely. So we also empower through our Build My Sister collaborative, where we are helping Black women learn how to build genuine sisterhoods. And there's no better time than right now to be doing that. And also through our Real Me for Girls, which is our K-12 empowerment program. And we are getting just such great feedback from the school in the Islands that is piloting that. Principal Rogers is very happy with that program. So, if you all don't mind, we appreciate you joining us. Please do all of the things that the platforms do: like, share, subscribe, comment. Don't keep us all to yourselves. That helps us with these algorithms.
Definitely. We pay it forward every week as a part of our live stream network, the Fantastic Four, with Sean Hurt coming on at 10 o'clock. And Principal Hurt was on this morning and on fire as usual. I see Josh asked, Principal Hurt made a comment about Gamecocks, and I did not say go Gamecocks. I am in Clemson gear today,
Oh,
Josh.
Josh,
But I
we
do
ain't doing
say
Clemson, Josh.
go Gamecocks, just for Principal Hurt and for Josh Tovar. After Principal Hurt on Saturdays, Sheka and I are here with our Create and Educate the Real Academy at 10:30, and then at 10:55 you should join us to join our mentor, the GOAT, in the AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele. And then again on Sunday evenings, the PGP podcast with Dr. Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar. And again, this is our way of saying we are here to help you the way we were helped.
Most definitely. Tammy, on your side, do you see Facebook user or do you see the names?
Facebook user.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on with StreamYard this morning, but it is time to do our real family roll call. And so, because we know you all so well, I can tell by some of your comments who you are. So, if I don't say your name, all I'm seeing right now for some reason on StreamYard is Facebook user. But if I can tell who you are by your comments, I'm going to shout you out. So, AP Patrick Lawrence, thank you for joining us. Miss Tachika Truesdale from Atlanta, we appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. And I know Greenville is Mr. Sherrod. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. And let me see. Oh, I know Illinois is Miss Dot McKeever
Yeah,
Jeter.
see Miss Di.
Appreciate you joining us. Buenos
Buenos
dias.
dias.
We
It's
know
by
that's Josh. That's
Josh.
right. And let's see, Benton Harbor. I know that's um, Mr. David Bell. We appreciate you joining us. I see Alicia Scott. We appreciate you. Melissa Jones Chunu, Principal Hurt. I know I saw somebody
My
mention
brother this morning.
Principal Kafele, the GOAT is here. And also, I see, let me see if I can tell, Stacy Devon Vance Daniels. I think somebody mentioned her in the comments, but we will figure out what's going on with the Sophia Jean Baptiste. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And we'll figure out what's going on with StreamYard. But we appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. That brings us to episode 168, Dope Math to Transform Tier 1 Instruction. And there is not a better person to help us do that than the Dope Math progenitor herself. And I'm going to bring her up, Miss Jaliyla Fraser. Good morning. Oh, you're on mute.
I still am not. I mean, we've been doing Zoom for so long now. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me for round two. I'm excited.
Yes, we are too. And we can't wait to bring you all this much needed conversation, especially in light of what Principal Hurt talked about this morning, helping you raise your report card grades. And a lot of people are in those that shape in schools that need to be transformed. That triangle is upside down, and the majority of your students are not proficient according to your assessments that you have in place, but they, are behind in some kind of capacity. So a lot of people look at that triangle and start with trying to intervene and trying to do this and buying this program and that program. But if you do not level up your tier one instruction, a lot of those interventions, a lot of those programs, a lot of this buying this and that will be in vain. It starts in tier one. This is where all of our children are at some point. They spend most of their time in tier one. So we're going to talk today from that lens of helping you level up that math in tier one. So I'm going to start us off, and this fits into the systems work that we do because it falls under those systems of excellence. If you have great tier one in place, you have great systems of excellence in place. So we wanted to talk to you this morning first from that lens of there are some people in the world, and this is coming from me because we're all going to share our perspective. I think that there are people in the world who feel like they are math people or have that math brain, and then there are people who feel like they do not. I feel like personally I'm one of those people who I consider myself to be a writer and a wordsmith, and I'm real good with words. I've been told I write books when I'm just commenting to people about stuff. So math is not the thing that I've naturally gravitated towards in school. And sometimes I think it's important for us to have that conversation, even as teachers, that even when you're planning out that tier one math, it needs to be from those two different perspectives, people who naturally gravitate towards math and people who don't, because the way that we see things, I think personally, are different. And when we're talking about our Black children, we definitely want to make sure that they understand, number one, that they are math. Math concepts originated from Africa, Imhotep, where he had to use those theorems to build the step pyramids. A lot of our children don't know that. Representation in math is so important. There are several organizations that offers free posters for people to be able to put up in their classes for them to see that there are multiple mathematically gifted Black people. We know representation is important because just Johns Hopkins University has told us that if you have two African American teachers in elementary school, Black children are more likely to enroll in college. This is another one with Black heroes in math. And then I also think that it has to be related to the daily life. Like we got to know the why behind why we're learning this math, and it can't just be problems. It can't just be the theory and it has to be relevant. So tell them that you see math in your shopping and cooking and budgeting, traveling, time management, setting the table, tipping, converting units, even in art. So I think when it's seen from those points, people with what I'm describing as the non math brain gravitate towards it or understand it a little bit better. Now I'm going to kick it off to my math brain ladies. Y'all tell us what y'all think.
Well, I do want to push back on that notion about math brain versus not math brain, because I do believe that you can be naturally gifted in something. But naturally gifted does not exclude you from having the ability to do mathematics. There's also that interest conversation. But if you feel as though you are not that good at math, then we need to kind of examine why. Because I feel like math has this connotation that once you're not good at this part of math, you're not good at math at all. And math has buckets, just like everything in life. And within those buckets, there are things that we are naturally good at, and there are things that we're not. For example, in statistics, I didn't have the best experience in statistics, and therefore my grades didn't reflect when I was in an algebra class or a discrete mathematics class. But although that was the case, I did not refer to myself as someone that was not good at mathematics. I just realized that there were certain mathematics that I had more of a natural ability to or for. And so I think we need to talk about messaging
Mhm.
and how we perpetuate a deficit language in mathematics, because
Mhm.
that's going to allow our students to be able to connect with, well, okay, maybe this topic wasn't the best. Let me see how I feel about rational numbers and so forth. But we can't just throw math away. We can't just say because they weren't good at this particular thing that they are not good in all aspects or other aspects of mathematics. And I think that needs to start from who we are as the educators, but also how we're teaching our students to think about themselves as mathematicians.
I love that. Were you going to add anything to that, Tammy?
Yeah, I was just thinking, kind of back to some conversations that we were having about how um, math is mostly what we think about it. For ourselves, it's from the student's perspective, and then
Mhm.
it's from the student's perspective with the teacher. But it's also something that we have to really lean into is supporting teachers, because it's also about their perception
Mhm.
of how students can learn math and how students can learn math from me. So when you have these barriers and you set up these invisible walls around mathematic instruction, and you're saying, yeah, I mean, I teach math, but it's definitely not my favorite subject. I'm not quite as impactful in math as I am when I'm teaching ELA. And that, because we lead that conversation into what we kind of talked about before, we combine things in our brains and say, oh, well, you're either science and math minded, or you are more ELA and history minded. So you're one of those humanitarian kind of people, and you're going to be philosophical about the things that you're doing, rather than break down what it is we're looking at and say, like, there are different aspects to math, as we
Mhm.
heard the dope educator just say, that
Mhm.
there are different aspects to math that we have to really pay attention to when we are talking about helping children to find their niche, or to realize, maybe this isn't what I like the best, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. I don't want
Right.
to do it, but doesn't mean I can't do it. We just have to push them and encourage them in ways to explore, so that they know, like she knows, okay, I am the bomb diggity with algebraic thinking. I got it. This is what I
Mhm.
do. Statistics, not so much. So I have to work a little harder there or whatever. But it isn't that I can't do it. It's just this is not what I prefer doing.
Most definitely, Tammy. And, we talked about this earlier when you talk about how we need to break that down and look at it from the different perspectives. This is just some information we found on when elementary students in fourth grade are surveyed about math being their favorite subject. 37% of them say it's their favorite subject. By the time they get to middle school, it drops to 18%. By the time they get to high school, it drops to 15%. So I think, like what you all are saying is spot on, that we definitely have to unpack, like the dope math ma'am, Miss Jalila, has stated, that we break down English. You know, there's a statistic that 97% of children can learn how to read. We don't really talk about math in that same vein. But when you break down ELA, there's different components, the comprehension, the vocabulary, and decoding, but there are several aspects to math as well. Talk a little bit about that, Jalila.
Yeah, so math has buckets, right?
Mhm.
There's number sense, right? There's proportional relationships, there's geometry, right? And even within, like, I know in high school, geometry is its own topic, but in other grades, there is a component of math that focuses on geometry.
Mhm.
So, how can we speak about mathematics in a way where we are more cluster based
Mhm.
instead of the whole entire thing, right?
Mhm.
I think that would definitely help us to really hone in on where should we start
Mhm.
with, and back to the original point, tier one instruction.
Right.
Your data about how students feel about mathematics as they progress in school seems
Mhm.
spot on. But I
Mhm.
will say this, because I don't only want elementary teachers to get a bad rap, because we know in elementary we teach all subjects, right? And so the becoming that subject matter expert in elementary school may not be the thing that is the focus, right? But in middle school as well as high school, our educators do have the certification to become to be math teachers.
Mhm.
It's very interesting how even after middle school, students still say, it declines even more, that they
Mhm.
don't want to have an interest in mathematics. So here's what I've discovered in the field,
Mhm.
like actually being boots on the ground in classrooms. Our middle school and high school math teachers, they have opted out with giving students what they need to be successful in mathematics. They are
Mhm.
telling me, hey, students don't have the foundational skills in adding and subtracting integers.
Mhm.
Yet, when the time comes for them to instruct students on how to add or subtract integers, they are only giving students one way to grasp that concept. And all the time, it's very abstract. We're just putting -5 + 7 on the board and asking them to solve that, instead of figuring out what is that resource or manipulative that when they were supposed to really learn adding and subtracting negatives, are they pulling that back into their tier one instruction? Are they bringing out counters? Are they using cues and ear rods if they have issues with regrouping? Are they
Mhm.
giving students that tool so that they can access the grade level mathematics that they say the students don't have? So
Right.
there is a part in every level of math teachers in our education where we have to give students what they need to be successful. And we can't just keep saying students don't know math. We have to give them the resources that they need.
And I
I
think we
Go
also,
ahead.
I'm sorry, Shika, but I think we also have to um, really pay attention, as you were saying, Jalila, to the fact that there are so many facets of math. And what we have to do as leaders, we have to make sure that our teachers understand that we need to be developing holistic math students. And when we're looking at math as a whole, you have to break that whole down into the parts of math so that we can figure out how to strengthen or to close gaps where they exist, so they don't get to the point where they don't like it. I don't like doing math because I'm stuck in this one area. I cannot wrap my mind around number sense, so I cannot go on to measurement. And because of that, I'm in a bind because I'm not able to count well enough to figure out the calculations that come next. And so when we really pay attention to what's going on and we give teachers the support they need in the classroom to be mathematicians themselves, because again, you got to see yourself as the math teacher. We go back to that pyramid. Do you see you there? Because if you
Mhm.
don't, we might be shortchanging our kids.
Most definitely. And I just wanted to add to that when you talk about how we see ourselves, when you mention those different pockets, now, one thing, when you break math down, I am good at data analysis, the statistics. Those are the parts that I love and I gravitate towards. And so when I see that data that we just posted, my thinking on that is when it drops from elementary, that interest level, to middle and high school drops even farther. What happens is, because the elementary teacher is the person that's teaching all subjects, because I've studied what I'm teaching, I now know how they're interconnected. As we move down into middle school and high school and we become those content areas, I'm really not collaborating probably a lot with my other subject area teachers to know how to connect this math to what everything else that the children are learning. And so when children learn things in absentia of one another, it's harder to connect it back to that relevance that I mentioned in the beginning. So it's just so much around this, but I'm
It
so
is.
glad that you brought up that part about unpacking math to the different buckets, because I think that's really a key to improving that tier one instruction.
And one thing, Jalila, I think is worth, I know that this is a part of the work you do. So I think it's worth you kind of helping people to wrap their minds around the fact that it's not just about computing, it's about reading in math and writing in math and making math come alive. Because when you make math actionable, then you get the children engaged in what's going on in the classrooms. And
Yeah.
without that,
Yeah.
we create and we perpetuate that thought that, oh, I'm just not a math person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we close, tell us about your free webinar that's coming up that people can learn more from.
Oh, yes, yes. So I'm really speaking to new math teachers, teachers that have been in the profession for about 1 to 5 years.
Mhm.
And they're like struggling because there's so much information coming at them. So
Mhm.
much information as to what to prioritize. How do I uphold the curriculum, keep on pace, still learn math, still teach my kids math, right? There's so much going on. And so I'm really having a webinar to help them demystify what should be their priority as a new teacher teaching mathematics. The other thing is also trying to get them to understand like who they are in the math space.
Mhm.
And so this webinar is to give them about 5 strategies on how to be effective as a math educator. And I say this with the experience of my first year teaching mathematics. My students outperformed not only the district but the state. 90% of them were proficient in their algebra 1 end of state course, right?
Mm.
My second year teaching mathematics, I raised scores, my student scores raised from a 48% bracket to 80%. And then my fourth year teaching, highest HESPA scores, 91%. And so that's 3 consistent years of
Mhm.
our students knowing math at high levels. And so we don't have to be struggling
Mhm.
as a rookie in math just because it's your first year. So
Right.
this particular webinar is to give them those strategies on how to make sure that their students are successful in mathematics. So my team has been dropping the link,
Mhm.
but you can also visit frasersmath.com and you'll see the link to the webinar and register. If you're a principal, make sure your teachers register for the webinar.
Definitely. Well, thank you for all of the gems dropped. Basically, to have that dope math in tier one, you need to break down barriers. How the teachers see the children, how the students see themselves, and how the teachers see themselves. So, we hope that you all gain something from this, and we would be remiss if we didn't announce that next week. Please make sure that you join us. We will have our sister on from South Carolina, Dr. Tracy Anderson Sweely, who is the National 2025 National Association of Secondary School Principals of the Year, right here from South Carolina. So we are going to be building our sister next week. We hope that you join us. Please switch over now to Principal Kafele's page, and we are going to hear from a phenomenal guest. So you all have a great rest of your Saturday.